the scene is a classic pub in a dodgy side of London, shall we say, and our mild-mannered, sweet man, sort of the Colin Firth, Harry Hart character, is having a sort of a lecture, giving a lecture to Eggsy of how he could be doing better in life, and Eggsy says, "Well, it's all right for you to say that with your born with your silver spoon." I don't know how many it was, 5 or 6 people then come in and who have a beef with Eggsy, and they were going to beat the living crap out of Eggsy. And they ask Grandad to leave. Grandad is very polite, gets to leave, tells them that there's a thing in life called manners maketh man.
Are we going to stand around here all day, or are we going to fight?
Locks the pub door, much to their surprise, and then goes and beats the living shit out of all of them with a sort of an aplomb and style unaccustomed to a Colin Firth style English gentleman wearing a suit, only armed with an umbrella. My secret weapon, or not so secret weapon, was a man, my second unit director called Brad Allen. Brad and I were extremely close and worked. We both love action, and he was trained by Jackie Chan. And he, with him, we would do stunt visits where we do every shot on a video camera with the pub. We build it out of cardboard boxes, the stools, the weapons. And then we do it again with the actors, and they learn it all. So when we're filming, it's all, you don't make that stuff up on the day. Let's put it that way. I always say action, tell a story, tell a story, tell a story with every shot. So that's number 1. Number 2, geography, because I always feel, I don't know what it is about a lot of action sequences. I always say the best, for me, the best example of an action sequence is all the boxing and Rocky, because you know where they are, who's fighting who, what character you like, and where you are in the ring, in the story, in the round. If they're down, they're on the floor. If they're up, they're up. So that's an action sequence. So whether you go bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter. If you tell the story of the action and the story of the movie and the characters, and you have geography shots, then it's enjoyable to watch, instead of just sometimes watching these action sequences where you have no idea who's hitting who, where they are, why they're doing it, and ultimately you don't even care who wins. I love Jackie Chan, and I was trying to bring, with Brad, some of the, what I call that style of action combined with the British etiquette and British style, and that's how the sort of the Kingsman action genre of what it is for that time. By the way, it's already changing, but for that moment, that's what we came up with. We were such cheap, low-budget filmmaking that we found out that the pub from the World's End was about to be burnt, that set. So we just bought that set and just changed the wallpaper. Welcome to independent filmmaking. So no, we borrowed a set, should we say. For me, the most memorable thing was watching Colin Firth train and doing it. And when we cast Colin, it was, you didn't know, you really didn't know. I was like, Colin Firth, the only action he'd done was that sort of I don't even know what the polite way of saying it, but let's say handbags at dawn between him and Hugh Grant and Bridget Jones. So it wasn't exactly, it wasn't the action hero. But I even remember Taron saying, because, he had to play, I said, Taron, your job is to be the audience. I need you to watch this and go, oh my God, what's happening? And we can cut to you and your jaw's hitting the ground. And I want the audience to hopefully be feeling the same way. And I remember at the end of it, Taron said, I didn't have to act, man. I was watching Colin Firth kick people's asses in a very convincing manner. It was just shocked. This is obviously in the sequel, and we wanted to riff on the fact that, Harry Hart is back and that his memory isn't quite there. So we thought it'd be fun, put him into like the American equivalent of a pub, some, well, how do I describe it? A bit of a divey bar.
Well, pick him up. And that is not what I call a Kentucky welcome. Manners maketh man.
Let's say some renegade guys, not good guys, come over, are a bit abusive and rude and trying to pick a fight. And we're thinking Harry has memories of this sort of behavior. So he gets up and he goes to leave and he says, manners maketh man. And then the fun of it is when you think, okay, he's going to kick everyone's asses, these guys just beat the living crap out of him. Nothing works. He can't remember it. He is not the Harry Hart we know, which then the fun of it was then to bring in the statesman and say, okay, let's redo the pub fight in an American bar fight style, and we'll give him a whip, a lasso.
Let me translate that for you.
As a kid, I grew up on barroom brawls, whether it was the Cannonball Run or John Wayne and all these, it was so ironically, the inspiration for the bar, for the pub was the old Westerns and so if you think about the first scene, it's a very Western-y, thing. Two guys having an argument, one getting up, walking to the door, but this time we haven't got those saloon doors, and I was imagining the saloon door in a Western, they locked it instead of left out. There was all that, and we tried to shoot it as a Western. So here we're now in the American, we're in the bar, which was sort of the inspiration to the pub. So it's a little bit of the two things riffing off each other. And it was Pedro's first action sequence when he was sort of, he went off and learned how to fight with a whip, and he did a very good job. He was showing me how he did it, and he did one flick and it caught his hand and just drew blood immediately. I was pretty impressed with him. He went out and he learned how to do it, because it's harder to do when you're in a room, because you got to be really, it's when you're inside, you don't want it to catch the wrong thing. But he went in, he learned it all. He was really good.
What's wrong with me, Melon? I thought you fixed me.
Well, we rebuilt your neural pathways, but it'll take time to get your coordination back.
Pushing the boundaries, we try to do that quite a lot. Some people didn't like that, but we did think the sequel, let's push some of these boundaries and have, because sometimes you want to push it so far that you're not remembering what you liked about the first one. So actually, weirdly, with the lasso, we pushed that further, and the whip, when we showed that it was electrified, but we kept that for later on when he's in the spinning rig, and that's so. We couldn't go too far in the bar sequence because we wanted some more surprises with American weaponry.
Phantom butterflies?
You will experience episodes, lapses of clarity. You'll be back to normal soon.
When we really looked into the sort of the southern gentleman, and mind your manners. And there was a whole big thing about manners in the South, which I thought was interesting. The idea of Louisville and Kentucky and bourbon versus British whiskey, and just saying how you can have these two very similar aims, should we say, of a secret agency, but they couldn't be more different. Channing and Taron are very different, or Jeff Bridges and Colin Firth, or Jeff Bridges and Michael Caine. That excited me more. And so expanding into the American culture, which I grew up on. I love American culture, the pop culture of America. I mean, I'm a 70s, 80s boy, so it was all these elements which I'd love to explore more, but getting them into Kingsman was fun. But also what I realized when we were writing The Golden Circle, that what really is Kingsman, especially the modern Kingsman, is Eggsy and Harry. It is that relationship that people love the most. And writing it without Colin without Harry didn't feel right to me. And that's why we decided to bring him back. And maybe it was a bit of a Dallas, Bobby Ewing moment, but it was like, guys, this is what this movie's all about. And that's what Kingsman 3 is going to be about, is, Eggsy and Harry, I think they're just amazing to watch these two together. And, so we'd like to do one more with them. This is it's a big set piece where our heroes, there's a villain called Rasputin, a real life villain called Rasputin, who needs to be extinguished, shall we say. And so our guys get together, and they know he's got a sweet tooth. They know he's got a penchant, shall we say, for young men and women. And they set the trap to try and kill him.
Now that's more like it. Time to dance on your graves.
They get everything wrong, and they underestimate, and what they thought might be a rather simple mission turns out to be the dance of hell.
You're right. Breathe.
That scene was a set, because if we went to any Russian stately palace home and smashed it up like that, I think would be big. You'd be dedicating the film to me. In that scene, well, what was interesting, we did a lot of research into Cossack dancing, right? And because I've always thought, what are these guys? Why are they sort of doing this with their legs horizontal, their arse a foot off the ground? I was like, who came up with such a stupidly weird dance? So I looked into it, and I turned out that it was a style of fighting and kicking, and then it got banned, so then it became a dance. And then we got the guys in that could do it, and it was just brilliant because the stuntmen couldn't do it. And so the stuntmen suddenly were like, how the core strength of these guys that were teaching them. We had people from Russia and Georgia and ballet dancers. And then we just started taking some of the ballet moves, the Cossack dancing, other traditional Russian folk dancing, and I got these stunt choreographers, the karate guys, and we all came together and then came up with probably the most surreal ballet you'll ever watch. in the first Kingsman, when Eggsy is told by Harry how Kingsman was founded in 1919, and the folklore or the foundations of Kingsman was already put in place. So I had to go back to what Harry Hart had told to Eggsy. And then I read up about the history, and these characters were just exploding off the page. I mean, I couldn't ever come up with a character like Rasputin. I mean, he's just an extraordinary villain. And then I found out about couldn't believe that the cousins, this was like a family squabble, and all these events that really happened. Like even when I read about the Zimmerman telegram to Mexico asking the Mexicans to invade America to get Texas to come into the war, and I'm like, this is just crazy that this happened. So I got very excited about the history side of it, and then even more excited about the Kingsman, what I call the gray area where we could slip the Kingsman plot and stories into it.
Now that's more like it. Time to dance on your graves.
Go and help your father.
As a director, I can only do things I'm excited about, because if I'm not excited about it, why the hell would anyone in the audience be excited? So I just thought, I want to make a movie that is epic, entertaining, engaging, emotional, and just escapism.
Breathe. You're right. Breathe.
I'm not joking. We shot this sequence about 3 years ago, so it feels like I shot it with the real Rasputin back in 1917 or 18, whenever it was set, that part. It took weeks. I know it took weeks. It was between the drama and the action. I'd say it's 2.5, 3 weeks for everything. I think from the moment we went into that set and got everybody out, it was about 3 weeks.
Now that's more like it. Time to dance on your graves.
The knife and the boot, and there's little things like that which are Easter eggs that no one's really commented about. That's meant to be the blade coming out of the brogue, and how that's the first time we ever see it, even though it's done manually. I think it's gone over everyone's head. So I do think there are lots of little things that on a second viewing we've put a lot of Easter eggs in there, and we've laid some for Kingsman 3. So we've put a few little things in this that are going to pay off in Kingsman 3.